Hello, everyone, and welcome to No Buts About It. We just had a huge trade come across, and that is Stefon Diggs is heading down to Houston. This had been brewing for a while and finally took place. I got Stan the Jet fan here. We're going to talk about the trade, impact on the teams, and is the Buffalo Bills playoff window closed? That's coming up next on No Buts About It. So, Stan, just first of all, welcome back. I'm sure this excites you as a Jets fan getting Stefon Diggs out of the AFC East. So, just first of all, what were your initial reactions to this trade happening?
I mean, my first thought is the AFC East has not been this open since the Colts were in the AFC East. I mean, it's been a long time of now you've had this kind of Bills dynasty going. I think they've won 4 years in a row. And before that, forever was the Patriots. I think the Jets snuck in one in like the early 2000s, but it's been the Patriots forever. So the Patriots and the Bills, Patriots have never been weaker. The Bills have been a little diced up this offseason. So to me, the AFC East seems to be super wide open, especially with the Dolphins losing a lot of their bigger defensive pieces. And I think this really makes things interesting for me as a fan looking into next season. Um, even the Patriots could have, in theory, a good season and maybe even have a shot at first, depending on if they get their quarterback in the draft. So there's a lot of open questions in the AFC East, and I think the Bills is a team that's been a juggernaut through the regular season, has had playoff runs the last 4 years. I think they're going to look like a very different team now.
Yeah, so I mean, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, that was one of those dynamic duos in the NFL, but we kind of saw that chemistry. Really, there was this umbrella of toxicity kind of lingering over the team for a while. And then the back half of last year, we really saw that. Robert Griffin III just released a video yesterday talking about how the Bills need to keep Diggs in Buffalo and how he is the reason for a lot of Josh Allen's success. And then this comes out to go over the trade specifically. The Bills are receiving a 2025 second round pick that the Texans got from Minnesota. And then the Texans will obviously get Stefon Diggs along with a 2024 sixth round pick, 2025 fifth round pick. All on top of all of this, the Bills are also taking on $31 million in dead cap space to get Stefon Diggs out of the building. That is the most ever for a wide receiver. To me, that just sounds like they wanted Diggs gone. Houston just happened to be in the right place at the right time. What are your thoughts about this trade? How it kind of played out?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I've we've all seen these rumors about Diggs for I think every offseason, basically. I mean, even back with Minnesota, like you heard that every single offseason until it happened. So Diggs seems to have that sort of personality around him. I think it's also some people in his camp, some of his family members are always pushing for that. But I mean, the fact that they have to give away picks and take dead cap to get rid of Diggs, it's kind of boggling. I mean, I don't know that I expected anything like this to happen. It seems to me, and this is very very much a premature thing to say, but I think the Texans have probably won this trade. I mean, they're getting a guy who's been, I think he's led the receptions in the NFL through his time with the Bills. And every single of those 4 years that he's been with the Bills, they've been first in the AFC East. So I think he is very, like as you said, RG3 said. I mean, he's very closely tied to the success of the Bills.
Yeah, the Houston Texans. I'm terrified of them, to be honest. People are saying Stefon Diggs fell off at the end of last year, and there's a little bit of truth to that, but he still had a phenomenal season. He had 107 receptions, 1,183 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns. I think this is a great trade for Houston. Houston has put together a very good team. They've got Daniil Hunter down there now. They've got Joe Mixon down there now. Now they have Stefon Diggs with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and CJ Stroud is throwing to them. Honestly, I think Houston now has the best wide receiver core in the NFL. Now that the Bengals have lost Tyler Boyd, we're still waiting to see what happens with T. Higgins. I don't know if there is a defense that is going to be able to find an answer for this Houston Texans team.
Yeah, and you mentioned four guys on the Texans, right? And the only guy of that group that's a true established veteran is going to be Diggs. So I think he also adds a little bit of a presence to the locker room, a guy who's been around the league, who knows how to play in playoff games. And for a really young team like that, I think he could be very helpful. I mean, the only thing I'm maybe a little cynical here is I'm thinking of when are the problems of trade me, get rid of me again, going to start now with Houston. And, to what extent does Diggs really want to be there? I think there probably are going to be a top three team of the AFC. That seems almost clear to me with this trade. I'm guaranteed CJ Stroud stays healthy. But having a guy like Diggs who's been around the NFL, who's played in big playoff moments, to me, that is a game changer to that team.
Yeah, I mean, there is this kind of concern. I mean, CJ Stroud and Tank Dell looked great last season. And then CJ Stroud was able to elevate Nico Collins to a level we hadn't seen him play at yet. And now Stefon Diggs is coming in. That volume might not be there. So does Diggs very quickly become a diva? Like you've kind of alluded to. Is he going to be the wide receiver one on this team? I don't know if he is, but I personally, if they can find a way to make this work, if they can find a way to keep Stefon Diggs happy, I am very excited to see how this offense plays out. D'Amico Ryan, second year head coach. We saw what he did with the Texans in his first year. I mean, that turnaround was amazing. I don't know if there's been a turnaround like that in the NFL recently. But I think that would be my only concern is keeping Stefon Diggs happy in that offense without alienating guys like Tank Dell and Nico Collins. So we've got that. We've got the impact on the Texans. We think Texans are going to be great. What are the Bills doing? We got Buffalo. They Gabe Davis is a free agent. They've pretty much imploded their defense. Jordan Poyer's gone. Bunch of other key players are gone. Right now, their wide receiver room is, I believe, just like Khalil Shakir and like maybe one other guy.
Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, yeah, it's nothing. They went from a great wide receiver room to a meh wide receiver room. You still have Josh Allen. Is what's going on here in Buffalo? What do we think about that? I know you said AFC East is wide open. Do you think that playoff window is still available?
I think it depends on how they're able to draft. I mean, this draft is becoming more and more important to the Bills as they've lost basically half of their stars. I mean, how do you make up these losses on defense and now even more obviously on offense? Because Khalil Shakir, yeah, he's made a big jump last year to from the previous year, but I don't think he's a wide receiver one. And Curtis Samuel either. He's never really been a top receiver on a team, right? He's a good second guy, he's a good third guy, but as a wide receiver one, I just don't think he is that guy. So I don't know who is going to have the leading receptions. I think last year uh, Shakir was number four on the receptions, and number three was Dalton Kincaid. So, are they going to, have Knox maybe pick up some of the slack there? What I think is most realistic is they're probably going to have to draft a bunch of wide receivers, two or three, I'm guessing, to make up for the big losses in that room. And for the team overall, they still do have a very strong O line. To me, that offense, if they could find a couple of receivers, a couple of assets in this draft, I think that offense should be able to operate as well as they have been operating. And I think Josh Allen is now the key to that because Josh Allen, we've seen him time and time again. He's been consistently one of the quarterbacks who knows when to run, who knows when to stay in the pocket. He's a very smart, very intelligent guy. So if he could stay healthy, if he could keep that, keep his position solid on the team and keep on doing what he's been doing throughout the last, 3-4 years, I think we're going to see good things come out of Buffalo. However, with the losses on their defense, I'm kind of curious, what are they going to do in the draft? Are they going to prioritize those defensive losses, or are they going to kind of front that offense and get those wide receivers? So now that they have more holes opening up, and they didn't really get anything, they got a second round. They lost a fifth and a sixth. In this trade. So to me, it seems they lost this trade. They've lost a bunch of their cap. They already had one of the rougher cap situations in the league. It's going to be very interesting to see how they try to rebuild this team.
Yeah, the Bills have a ton of dead cap, it looks like, according to spottrack.com. I know Tre'Davious White is no longer with the team. Looks like he had a pretty decent dead cap space as well. He's one of those key defensive players who's gone. This is really going to come down to Josh Allen. Can Josh Allen step up? People are saying like Stefon Diggs is washed. I don't think that's the case. I think not any, but a significant part of his decrease in production last season was due to the Bills finally having a run game, but um, not having any wide receivers now. And you can't really even go out and sign anyone in free agency because you have all of this dead cap space. You have this bad cap situation. There are still wide receivers that are available, not guys who I would necessarily consider wide receiver ones. Like Tyler Boyd is still out there. You can maybe bring him in possibly. That would terrify me a little bit, that Josh Allen and Tyler Boyd connection. But I just I don't think that the Bills are going to be able to make the playoffs this season with the way the AFC East is set up. I mean, I think they'll be a decent team because Josh Allen is that X factor. But the Miami Dolphins, they made a run last year to the playoffs. Um, the Jets, you guys are kind of this looming box of potential that like people like what's in the box. It could be a playoff run. Would you rather have the Jets box, or the playoff run? This could be anything. Who knows what the Jets are going to be? And then the Patriots are probably like the only team where it's like, okay, yeah, the Bills are going to be better than them. But um, I this is such a weird trade to me, unless, which it seems it's pretty clear it was, Stefon Diggs just wasn't happy. He didn't want to be there. And I almost wonder if RG3's video got to him because, or not the video, but the comments under the video, because a lot of the comments were saying, um, like, no, Josh Allen is Josh Allen. He doesn't need Diggs. Diggs is washed. And Diggs did respond to one of those comments that is now deleted and saying, like, you sure about that? And that was just yesterday. So maybe he walked into the office and said, "Fine, people think this. We'll see how good Josh Allen really is."
Yeah, I mean, to quickly address the washed allegations, I don't think that's true at all. I mean, for one, I'm pretty sure he had 1,000 yard season last season, and he was on a team that Gabe Davis. I think he's a talented guy, but I don't even think he's a wide receiver two. I think his real value is as a wide receiver three. So he was the main receiver by a mile on that team, and he consistently came in through the season. You also have to realize they lost their OC. So for the second half of their season, they're running a new offense, understanding how to integrate different players in. So I don't think Diggs is washed at all. I think that's kind of a goofy comment to make. Maybe some sour Bills fans out there. But for the Bills, I mean, it's just at the end of the day, you're gaining another hole on your offense. You're gaining arguably the second most valuable. Sorry, you're losing your second most valuable guy on your offense. So either way, it's going to be a rough rebuild for the Bills.
Do you think Stephon Diggs is still a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL?
Definitely. I have no question about it. I think the big question for me with him is how he'll age. And people, I understand people saying that second half of that season, the end of last season didn't look great for him, but we haven't seen like that wasn't a stable year for anyone on the Bills. I mean, again, you get a different OC at the end of the season. It's a very tough transition to make for anyone. So with the Texans, a team that should have an extremely stable coaching staff. I mean, after what they did last year, I don't think anyone is getting fired. I think at the very least, their head coach is going to feel very comfortable, a guy with something to prove in the league. I mean, with a lot of young talent on that team too, and a very good cap situation. I think with the Texans, he's going to have a little bit of pressure taken off him. The Texans are a fan base that's very hungry and not as pushing on the players as the Bills are. I mean, Bills Mafia, they've been tasting that Super Bowl for 4 years in a row without getting that trip. So I think on a team with less pressure, less media in Texas, I think it should be a better situation for Diggs.
Are you scared of this Texas team? I'm scared of the Houston Texans.
I mean, for me, I was scared of them even before Diggs. So this definitely makes things a lot tougher
I
for every
am.
other team in the AFC.
I was looking at the Houston Texans team before this video. Danielle Hunter, again, they added him. One of the most underrated pass rushers in the league. Joe Mixon, obviously, big fan of him. I mean, I don't know how teams are gonna. This just seems like a super team now. And their Super Bowl window is wide open with a young CJ Stroud, young wide receivers, besides Diggs. I, they're like the new Bengals, if I'm being honest. Like it's a new new era in Houston, and D'Amico Ryan's new young first time head coach who comes in, turns the franchise around, has a phenomenal wide receiver core. Joe Mixon's the running back, brings in a veteran defensive rusher. It's literally the Bengals all over again, and that terrifies me.
Yeah, I mean, especially with CJ Stroud, entering his second year now. Um, to me, that's scary because with young quarterbacks, you tend to see that first 1 or 2 rough years. Even with Josh Allen, we're just now talking about him. He looked bad for about 2 years, right? And then that third year, he finally began looking like a starting caliber quarterback. CJ Stroud came out of the stable looking this good. So imagine how it's going to look now that he's been able to move around the league, been able to make a playoff run in his first year. I mean, you're looking at a guy who now understands the game, understands the speed of the game a little bit better.
Yeah. So I think that's all we were gonna cover. Stan, did you have any final words you wanted to say about this trade?
I mean, the rest of the AFC gets scared because it's going to be a rough season when you play the Texans.
Oh, I'm already scared. Don't you worry. So, everyone, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, go do something nice for someone, and we will see you on the next episode of No Buts About It.